Magandang araw! Sama-sama tayong matuto sa Teacher Sal Learning Resource Channel. A revised K-12 curriculum, Science 3, Quarter 2, Week 2. Our topic is all about science in our daily life. Solve the jigsaw puzzle. Take a look at the puzzle solve. What does this puzzle show? What is the child doing? The child is measuring the table. What do you do when measuring? What tools can we use to measure objects such as leaves? You're right. We use tools such as a ruler and a meter stick to make our observations on length, height, and width of objects more accurate. Look at this ruler and meter stick. I will say a measurement and you will point to it. Point to 15 millimeters on the ruler. Now, point to 18 centimeters on the ruler and also on the meter stick. Finally, show me where 1 meter is on the meter stick. Now that you have recalled concepts about measuring, look at this arrow. Do you know what this arrow is? You're right, a double-headed arrow means we are looking at the distance from one point to another. It shows that we measure in both directions from the start to the end, or from the end to the start. Let us say we have a plant twig. If we want to measure how long the twig is, we place a ruler next to it. The double-headed arrow tells us to measure the length from one end of the twig to the other end. One arrow points to where the twig starts. The other arrow points to where the twig ends. The double-headed arrow shows that we are measuring the entire twig, not just a part of it. How do you know that a plant is growing? Which one do you think is older? How can you be sure? As plants grow, their leaves get bigger. You can measure the length and width of plant parts to observe changes in plants. How do we know that leaves are getting bigger? By measuring their length and width, we can tell that leaves are getting bigger. Using measuring tools, we can accurately measure the length and width of leaves. I noticed this leaf is bigger because it is longer and wider. So the longer and wider the leaves are, the blank they are. Yes, that's right. Leaves grow bigger as the plants grow. Today, we will learn how to measure leaves accurately using rulers, just like scientists do when they study plant growth. In our previous lessons, we practiced using context clues to understand new words. Today, we will continue applying this skill to help us understand scientific terms related to measuring objects, such as leaves. Read the following sentences. The width of a leaf influences how it catches sunlight. When measuring, always place the ruler on a straight surface. If placed on a curved surface, the measurement will be inaccurate. Let us try this. Try placing a ruler on a curved surface. Does it stay flat? Why or why not? Sessile leaves have no petiole. Petiole is a part of the plant that connects the leaf blade to the stem. For Activity 1, we have leaf detectives. How do I measure the length and width of leaves? For the pre-activity, before this activity, bring a fresh leaf. You may bring sessile leaves like rice or corn leaves. These leaves are easier to measure because they have no petiole. Choose a leaf that is common in your community, is small enough to fit in your notebook, and easy to find. Make sure the leaf will not hurt or irritate your skin. Handle the leaf gently so it won't tear. For safety precautions, handle leaves gently to avoid tearing them. Use rulers properly. Do not play with them. Wash hands after handling the leaves. For the materials needed per learner, notebook, pen, ruler, fresh leaf such as corn or rice. Duration, it is good for 20 minutes. What to do? Copy the table below in your notebook. Use it to record your observations on the length and width of leaves. Make sure to write your answers in the correct columns. In the first column, we have the activity, the part A and part B. Second column, what is its length in millimeter? Third column, what is its length in centimeter? Fourth column, what is its width in millimeter? And fifth column, what is its width in centimeter? For part A, this is good for per learner. Place the leaf on a flat surface. Using a ruler, get the length of your leaf. Refer to the sample illustration. Note, you must align the zero mark of the ruler from one end of the longest part of the leaf, either the tip or base, to the other end to get its length. Observe how your teacher models it. What is the length of your leaf in millimeters? What is its length in centimeters? Next, get the width of your leaf. Leaf width is the measurement of how far apart the edges of a leaf are at its widest part. To measure it, you draw a straight line across the widest part of the leaf from one side to the other. Refer to the sample illustration. Note, you must align the zero mark of the ruler from one edge across the other edge of the widest part of the leaf. Observe how your teacher models it. What is the width of your leaf in millimeters? What is its width in centimeters? For part B, it is done for pair. Exchange leaf with your partner. Place the leaf on a flat surface. Determine the length and width of this leaf in millimeters and centimeters. Compare your measurements with your partner's. Did both of you get the same results? Return the leaf to your partner. For Think, Pair, Share activity, what is the length of your leaf in millimeters? What is its length in centimeters? What is the width of your leaf in millimeters? What is its width in centimeters? Compare your measurements with your partner's. Did both of you get the same results? How did you measure the length and width of the leaf? Why might your measurements differ slightly from your partner's? What steps can you take to ensure more accurate measurements? Look at this leaf from our community, a gumamelo leaf. I will pause it on the board. Two volunteers will measure its length and width. We will check their answers together. Watch carefully as we show the correct way to measure the length and width of leaves. Do leaves have the same length and width? No, leaves have different length and width. Why do leaves differ in length and width? They differ in length and width because they have different blank and sizes. You're right, they have different shapes and sizes. Since plant leaves vary in shape and size, their lengths and widths also vary. We measure leaf sizes to track plant growth and to check if the plant is healthy. Take a look at this illustration. From left to right, we have the leaves of golden pothos, caladium, zizi or welcome plant. Aside from the ruler, what other simple equipment can you use to accurately measure the length and width of leaves? You're right, it is meter stick. Other than meter stick, we can also use tape measure. Have you already seen a tape measure? A tape measure also has millimeter and centimeter markings and is handy. Here is a picture of a tape measure. How do you measure the length and width of leaves? Using a ruler correctly, I can measure a leaf from its tip to its base to determine its length. Why do leaves differ in length and width? Leaves vary in length and width due to their different shapes and sizes. I can measure the length of a leaf from one blank of its longest part. You're right, from one end of its longest part. Leaves differ in length and width because they differ in blank and blank. Very good, because they differ in shapes and sizes. How could measuring leaves help farmers or scientists? It could help farmers to know which plants are healthy. It could help scientists in checking how plants grow in different places. For your assessment, multiple choice questions. Write the letter of the correct answer. Use capital letters only. Look at the leaf. Which statement about the leaf is true based on its measurements? A. It is 8 meters long. B. It is 70 millimeters wide. C. It is about 7 centimeters long. You're right. The correct answer is letter C. It is about 7 centimeters long. For items 2 to 3, look at the illustrations below. We have leaves X, Y, and Z. Which diagram shows the correct arrow for measuring the length of the leaf? AX, BY, CZ. You're right, the correct answer is letter C, Z. Which diagram shows the correct arrow for the width measurement of the leaf? AX, BY, CZ. You're right, the correct answer is letter A, X. Which of the following statements is a correct step in measuring the length of the leaf? A. Place the ruler across the widest part of the leaf. B. The one mark of the ruler must correspond to the edge of the leaf. C. Place the ruler from one end of the longest part of the leaf, either the tip or base, to the other hand. Very good. The correct answer is letter B. For number 5, which of this is not correct? A. Anyone can use measuring scales to find the size of a leaf. B. You can put a ruler on a curved surface to measure the width of leaves. C. We can measure the length and width of leaves using millimeters and centimeters. Very good. The correct answer is letter C. We can measure the length and width of leaves using millimeters and centimeters. For your homework, why do scientists measure leaves? How do gardeners use the measurements? For day 2, which leaf is the longest? Which is the widest? Now, let us find out if our guesses are correct by learning how to measure leaves accurately. Earlier, we made guesses about which leaf was the longest and widest. But did you know that sometimes what looks longer may not actually be the longest? Let's take a look at this. We have leaf A and leaf B. Look closely. Which one do you think is longer? Are you sure? I think leaf A is longer because it looks bigger, but I'm not sure. If two leaves look almost the same, how can we tell their actual size? You're right, we can measure them with a ruler. Today, you will investigate how to compare the length and width of leaves accurately using a ruler. Let's define these terms first. Narrow. The leaf is narrow, measuring only 2 cm wide. Narrowest. Among these leaves, this leaf is the narrowest at 1.5 cm. Widest. The widest tree in the school serves as a home to several birds. Let's have activity 2, leaf detectives. Which leaf is longer and wider? For safety precautions, handle leaves gently to avoid tearing them. Use rulers properly. Do not play with them. Wash hands after handling the leaves. Materials needed per learner: notebook, fresh leaf, drawing materials, example given pencil, crayons. And for per group, we have ruler, marker. The duration of this activity is good for 20 minutes. What to do? For part A, take out your leaf and place it on your table. Put all the leaves together in the middle of your group. Use a marker to label each leaf from 1 to 5. Draw each leaf in the space provided in your data table. Here is the data table. In the first column, we have the leaf. Next column, drawing. Third column, what is its length in centimeter? And in the fourth column, what is its width in centimeter? Use a ruler to measure each leaf's length in centimeters. Write your answers in your data table. This time, get the width of each leaf in centimeters. Record your answers in your data table. For part B, refer to your data table. Arrange the leaves from shortest to longest. Write the numbers in order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which leaf is the longest? Arrange the leaves from narrowest to widest. Write the numbers in order. Example given: 2, 4, 3, 1, 5. Which leaf is the widest? Can we tell the exact size of a leaf just by looking at it? No, we can only make a guess. Our eyes can help us estimate, but without measuring, we cannot be sure of the exact size. Why is measuring with a tool better than estimating? Measuring with a tool, like a ruler, gives an accurate and precise size, while estimating is just guessing and might not be correct. While you can estimate the length and width of a leaf using your sense of sight and touch, measuring with simple tools such as a ruler, meter stick, or tape measure provides a more accurate result. Let's have another activity entitled Leaf Detectives Measuring Challenge. Materials needed per learner: notebook. Per group: 1 ruler, 1 meter stick, 1 tape measure. Per class: 5 to 10 fresh leaves from different plants that are readily available in your community, posted around the walls of the classroom. Imagine that you are detectives. You must identify 2 leaves. One leaf must be the longest among all the others, and the other leaf must be the widest. To succeed in this investigation, you must accurately measure the length and width of the leaves. Work in your groups for this challenge. Around the classroom, you will see 5 to 10 leaves posted on the wall and labeled leaf 1, leaf 2, and so on. With your group, measure the length and width of each leaf using a ruler, meter stick, or tape measure. Write your measurements in a data table in your notebook. After finishing, one member from each group will present your group's findings using the data table. Why do we need to measure the length and width of leaves? What do we learn when we measure leaves? We learn how long and wide a leaf is. How can measuring help us compare different leaves? It helps us find patterns in leaf sizes, such as small leaves on one plant and big leaves on another. Where else do we use measuring skills? When checking our height, we measure to see how much we have grown. We measure leaves to compare their length and width accurately, helping us understand their sizes and how they grow. For your assessment, multiple choice questions. Write the letter of the correct answer on a sheet of paper. Use capital letters only. For items 1 to 3, look at the pictures of leaves A, B, and C below. Then compare these leaves in terms of their width measurements. Which statement is true about leaf A? A. It is the narrowest. B. It is wider than leaf B. C. It is wider than leaf C. You're right. The correct answer is A. It is the narrowest. Which of the following best describes leaf C? A. It is the widest. B. It is the longest. C. It is the smoothest. Very good. The correct answer is letter A. It is the widest. Which of the following statements is correct? A. Leaf A is wider than leaf B. B. Leaf B is wider than leaf C. C. Leaf C is wider than leaf A. You're right. The correct answer is letter C. Leaf C is wider than leaf A. Compare the two leaves. We have leaf X and leaf Y. Which of the following best describes the two leaves? You're right. The correct answer is B. Leaf X is longer than leaf Y. What do you measure when you want to compare the size of leaves? A. Shape. B. Color and texture. C. Length and width. You're right. The correct answer is letter C. Length and width. For day 3. Solve the jigsaw puzzle. This will be the image to be solved in the puzzle. Take a look at this. What does this puzzle show? How do we know it might rain? The boy predicts that it will rain because the cloud is dark and there is lightning. Predicting is a skill using observed patterns to guess or infer what will happen in the future. It is important to have good observations to be able to identify patterns and make predictions. What happens when you throw an apple or any object up in the air? Here's an episodic map illustrating Isaac Newton's discovery of gravity. The map highlights 3 steps. Observing, Newton sees an apple fall. Experimenting, he throws different objects and observes the same. Discovering, he formulates the idea that all objects are pulled downward by a force. Let's look at how Newton made his discovery. He carefully observed patterns and used these observations to think of new ideas. We will not talk about gravity yet, but we will focus on how his careful observations of patterns led to an important discovery. For today, you have to make careful observations, just like what Isaac Newton did, and recognize patterns, which is an important step in making predictions. Finding unfamiliar terms. We will read the life of a farmer. You can see it here on the board, Manila paper or screen. Don't read the whole story yet. First, look for words that are new or unfamiliar to you. Write these words on the board. Volunteers may also share their words. Then we will unlock the meanings by giving the Filipino words easier words or synonyms. Let's define these terms. Routine, nakagawian, regular, usual. Flow, verb, araro. Using a tool to break up and loosen the soil. This helps prepare the ground for planting seeds so the plants can grow well. Weeds, damo. Plants that grow in places where they are not intended, often among crops or in gardens. They can compete with other plants for sunlight, water, and nutrients, which is why weeds are removed to help crops grow better. Harvest, mag-ani. Gather fruits or vegetables when they are fully grown, ready to eat or sell. Ripe, hinog. Ready to eat, mature. Crops, pananim o ani. Cultivated plants for food. Products, produkto. Items made, grown, or created that people use or sell. Now that we have unlocked the meanings of these words, let us keep them in mind as we read the life of a farmer. These words will help us better understand the story. As we go through the story, try to spot these words and see how they are used in sentences. For Activity 3, spot the pattern. Can you arrange the events? Materials needed. Per group, a sheet of bond paper. Drawing materials. Example given, pencil, crayons. The duration of this activity is good for 20 minutes. What to do? Read the story about the life of a farmer. The life of a farmer. Mang Eddie is a farmer who lives in the province. Every day, he follows the same routine. Early in the morning, he takes his tools to the farm. He plows the soil, removes the weeds, plant seeds, and water the crops. In the afternoon, he harvests the ripe crops and prepare the products for selling. In the evening, he goes home, eats dinner with his family, and cleans his tools. Take a look at this illustration. The story presents the daily activities of a farmer. Arrange the pictures to show the correct sequence of events in a farmer's life. Choose 4 pictures and number them from 1 to 4, with 1 as the first activity and 4 as the last. Which 2 illustrations are not part of the sequence of events in the life of Mang Eddie? Why do you say so? The story only included how Mang Eddie takes care of the plants, not animals. What pattern did you observe about farming based on the story? Farming involves plowing the soil, planting the seeds, watering crops, and harvesting the crops. It involves a routine of activities, from preparing the soil, growing the crops, harvesting, and then selling. I observe that farming follows a pattern because it starts with blank, next is blank, then blank, and finally blank. Refer again to the story. Think about what happens after harvesting in Mang Eddie's routine. What do farmers do next? Store, sell, or replant the crops. After harvesting, I think the next step is blank, because blank. Draw it on the bond paper and describe it. Let's have a weather trivia. What is the weather like today? Is it sunny, rainy, or cloudy? Do you think it will rain tomorrow? Why or why not? How do we know if it might rain soon? What signs do we look for? Did you know that weather scientists, called meteorologists, can make weather forecasts using the predicting skill? Meteorologists look for patterns in the atmosphere using science equipment, one of which is a satellite, which takes pictures of Earth's cloud formations every hour. Pag-asa. By careful observations, meteorologists can determine patterns, and these serve as their basis in weather forecasting. Now, let us put together what we have learned about predicting. One way to understand how predictions are made is by organizing our ideas in a web diagram. Draw a web diagram in your notebooks. For example, observing details, noticing patterns, looking for clues, sequencing events, making predictions. How can you arrange the sequence of events in an activity? What clues did you use? I can arrange the sequence of events by careful observations of what is going on in an activity. I use patterns as clues. By doing so, I am able to think of the possible events that can happen in the activity. Now that we've learned how to observe, measure, and recognize patterns to make predictions, it is time to check our understanding. For your assessment, arrange the following illustrations to show the sequence of events based on the observed patterns. Place the numbers 1 to 5 in the boxes, with 1 representing the first activity and 5 representing the last activity in the sequence of events. Here are the illustrations. Here are the correct answers. What pattern did you observe in these illustrations? Why do you think so? For day 4, take a look at these illustrations. What do you think will happen next? What pattern did you observe in these illustrations? Why do you think so? Growing mango trees. Mango trees grow from seedlings to young trees and then to bigger trees. Once the mango trees mature, ready to bear fruits, these trees bear fruits that can be harvested later on. Here's a KWLA chart to organize your ideas about predictions. K stands for what I know, W, what I want to know, L, what I learned, A, how I can apply what I learned. What do you know about predicting? What else do you want to know about it? Take a look at these illustrations: watering crops, plowing the field, planting seeds, and harvesting. Can you arrange these steps in the correct order? Here are the correct answers. First, plowing the field, planting seeds, followed by watering the crops, and the last one is harvesting. What happens if one step is skipped? If watering the plant is removed, if we don't water the plants, they might dry up and die. How do we know what comes next? Just like in farming, we can predict changes in objects by looking for patterns. What was the last thing the farmer did in the story? The farmer harvested the crops. If the story continued, what do you think the farmer would do next? Why? The farmer will sell the crops at the market because farmers earn money by selling their harvest, or the farmer will plant new seeds to grow more crops next time, or the farmer stores some crops for food at home. Just like how you used your observed patterns to think of a possible continuation of the farming story, in today's lesson, you will make predictions of events based on the patterns that you will observe. Let's have interactive word matching. Raise your hand if you think you know the correct word. Seed, a small, round, or oval part of a plant that can grow into a new plant. Rosa planted a seed in the soil. After a few days, it started to grow into a small plant. Fishing ground, fishing water, fishing area. The fishermen ride their boats in the morning and gather in the fishing ground to catch fish. Water level, depth of water. The water level in the pool is just enough for the kids. It reaches their knees. Can you use this word in a sentence? Where have you heard this word before? Now that we understand these words, we can use them to help us make better predictions. In our lesson, let's have activity 4, pattern spatter. What's next? Pattern spatter. What's next? Materials needed per learner, notebook, drawing, materials. Example given, pencil, crayons. Duration, it is good for 15 minutes. What to do? Look at the illustrations below. We have A, B, C, and D. Notes about the illustrations: A. Preparing a pot with soil. B. Planting seeds. C. Adding soil in the pot with seeds. And D. Placing the pot with seeds in a sunny place and watering it regularly. What main activity is shown in these pictures? Why? You're right, growing a plant or planting. The illustrations involve growing a plant or planting. What is most likely to happen after illustration D? You're right, a plant will grow in the pot. Draw it and explain. Pio loves fishing from morning until afternoon at their local community's fishing ground. One day, while fishing, he observed a change in the water level. Look at the illustrations. What pattern did you notice in the water level? Very good. The water level increases in the morning until noon by 1 meter every 2 hours, then it decreases by 1 meter every 2 hours in the afternoon. What might the water level be at 5 p.m.? 1.5 meters. Draw what could happen to the water level at 6 p.m. Your drawing must show that the water level is almost at 1 meter, just like in the illustration. Draw what could happen to the water level at 6 p.m. Your drawing must show that the water level is almost 1 meter, just like the illustration. Explain your answer. At 6 p.m., the water level can be 1 meter high because the pattern that I observe is it goes up by 1 meter every 2 hours until noon, but goes down by 1 meter every 2 hours in the afternoon. So, I am predicting the water level will go down by 1 meter from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. because 2 hours will pass by. Careful observations are important in making better predictions. Let's have a coin and water challenge. Here are the materials needed. How many drops of water can fit in these coins? Which coin can hold the most number of drops of water without spilling? Record your observations by writing your answers. Follow this table format. How do you make predictions? I can make predictions by observing carefully what is happening. By doing so, I can identify the patterns in the events, actions, and activities, and use these patterns as a basis in predicting what can happen next. Complete your KWLA chart by reviewing the K and W columns and answering the questions what I learned in the L column and how can apply what I learned in the A column. How do predictions help us understand changes in real life, like growing old? Can you think of other real-life examples where you can apply your prediction skills? Predictions help us know what changes might happen in the future, like how we will look like when we grow older. For your assessment, prepare your baby picture, mirror, bond paper, and drawing materials. Look closely at your picture when you were a baby. Now, look closely at yourself in the mirror. Predict how you would look 10 years from now. Draw yourself on the bond paper and describe your possible appearance. Would you look the same 10 years from now? Why or why not?